Welcome to R&R Live and Life. We pick up this episode as we leave the Memorial Park at Manangatang and continue along the Mallee Highway as we make our way out of Victoria, around numerous sweeping bends, over sand ridges and through Mallee country to Mildura. We passed through country where the crops were in need of some water, especially along the sandier ridges. Along large sections of the roadway were mallee or pines depending on the topography. We passed sections of the road being repaired. In some of the ploughed fields were paddy melons, and an invasive plant was growing wild. Paddy melons are also known as gooseberry cucumber, gooseberry gourds, mallee pears, or prickly paddy melons, and are an invasive plant that is mostly a ground cover but can also be a climbing annual herb on bushes, shrubs, or tall grasses. This plant is native to tropical and southern Africa. It has small, round, yellow-green or green-striped fruits with soft spines, small yellow flowers, and a deeply lobed light green leaves, and is toxic to humans as well as horses, sheep, cattle and pigs, and has been associated with stock deaths. The melon occurs in disturbed soil and cleared or bare areas and thrives on summer moisture and commonly invades fallow fields and pastures, diminishing crop yields. Just before midday we stopped in the small country town of Oyen in the far northwest of Victoria, at the crossroads of the Calder Highway that takes road users from Mildura to Melbourne and the Mallee Highway from Sydney to Adelaide. Oyen's history dates back to 1906 when it was established as a railway town, facilitating the transport of agricultural produce and contributing to the town's growth. Oyen is situated within a vast area of wheat fields and sheep grazing land, with wheat loading facilities and massive grain silos located along the railway line, a prominent feature of the town. We checked out the Big Mallee route, estimated to be hundreds of years old, located on the Calder Highway. Thought to be the largest mallee stump in Australia, and serves as a tribute to early settlers who cleared the land of drought-resistant eucalypt trees to make way for agricultural activities. The populous mallee root, an Eucalyptus lignotuber, is known as a hardy plant that is difficult and stubborn to uproot, even when exposed to prolonged drought conditions, as it can quickly regenerate after rain or bushfires. Huge areas of mallee scrub covered this region, and pioneer farmers using heavy rollers drawn by bullock teams cleared the land in the early 1900s. The trunks were removed or chained, then left to dry out before being burnt. The stumps were later raked or collected and burnt or sold for firewood. The Oyen district is now one of the most productive wheat areas in Victoria, but at the cost of the natural environment. I was impressed by the huge sheep yards, only to find out that local farmers use the Oyen Livestock Exchange to sell around 250,000 head of sheep and lambs every year for distribution nationwide and export internationally. The town is also a transport centre for the surrounding grain farms in the region, with trucks bringing grain to the silos at harvest time to be railed to Portland or Adelaide for shipping or to flour mills for processing. On leaving Oyen, we had 100 kilometres to Mildura along the Calder Highway in this semi-arid region, following the railway line for sections of the road, while further afield were undulating red broadacre farms in various stages of planting. We were beginning to see isolated sand ridges. Just out of Oyen we passed the huge Kamal solar farm equipped with 718,000 solar panels, making it the state's largest solar project. We were travelling through low-lying areas covered with saltbush and grasswort, samphire and desert-type adapted species. Just south of Mildura we passed through a rimple in the southern region of the Sunraysia, and then through Red Cliffs, that takes its name from the 70-metre high cliffs 4.5 kilometres east of the town that have a red-orange colour. Following the First World War, over 700 soldiers settled in the town and began work on establishing the vineyards, which would become the town's chief industry, with the town and surrounding irrigation district officially opened in 1921. Our intention was to return to Red Cliffs and also check out the cliffs later this afternoon after parking Gidget. We arrived in Mildura mid-afternoon and unhooked. Luckily, the park was not full at the time we arrived, as the spaces were very tight. Originally a rather lifeless area, the region around Mildura was transformed into a rich agricultural oasis thanks to the work of the Chaffee brothers from Canada in the late 1800s, due to their experience with creating irrigation settlements. With the sun still in the sky, the afternoon was for exploring, so made our way to Red Cliffs Lookout. Red Cliffs Scenic Reserve was considered by the Chaffee brothers as a possible site for the township for their irrigation colony. The area is on a high bank above the cliffs, from which the settlement got its name, and included Snake Gully and Red Gum Car Park. The Caradoc woolshed was originally atop the cliffs and was used as accommodation for the gangs of workers at the site. Snake Gully was created during the Big Fill of October 1921, when the first irrigation and all appeared to be going well until the channel wall broke. The resulting cascade of water eroded the cliffs to form Snake Gully. Beautification of the site occurred during the 1980s, including clearing tons of rubbish, tree planting and constructing a staircase and boardwalk to the riverfront below. From the viewing platform we could view the site of the pumping station that draws water from the Murray River up over the cliffs and into a network of irrigation channels, and the power station, and also we could see the layers of geological history revealed within the cliffs. Apparently the 1956 flood went as far as the eye could see from the viewing platform. From the cliffs we made our way to Red Cliffs, located within the major citrus and grape growing district, sustained by irrigation from the Murray River. In Barclay Square we stopped in at Big Lizzie, a 45-ton steam tractor created to tackle the harsh Australian outback, allowing it to travel across sandy and boggy soils where other machines failed. This unique dreadnought wheel system, where a wheel with articulated rails is attached to the rims to provide a firm footing for the wheels to roll over, and used to spread the weight of the vehicle, enabling it to successfully travel over soft soils such as sand dunes, was also known as an endless railway wheels. Big Lizzie was originally constructed to transport wool from the station properties adjoining Broken Hill. In October 1917, after nearly 2 years travelling, Big Lizzie arrived in Mildura, but due to flooding of the Murray River, with no bridges or ferries suitable to carry her, Big Lizzie was unable to complete the journey and remained in Victoria. With the end of World War I in 1918, a repatriation scheme was needed to integrate the returning diggers back into civilian life. By August 1920, men began arriving in Red Cliffs at a rate of 50 per day. They were employed to clear trees, construct channels, and establish a nursery. They had to clear the land by hand, and the arrival of Big Lizzie was heralded as she could pull up to 4 and sometimes 8 stumps at a time, helping shape the agricultural landscape of the region. The following day we made our way through Mildura and over the Murray to Buronga, originally known as Hendytown, and later Mildura Bridge, New South Wales. Buronga didn't really start to take up shape until the 1930s, when the Western Lands Commission officially named it. In those early days it was little more than a rutted track used as a stock route for local travellers and as a route for the thrice-weekly mail service from Euston through to Wentworth. Noted explorer Captain Charles Sturt and his party were almost certainly the first white men to pass by the future site of Buronga during their historic exploration of the Murray River in the 1830s. After that, an increasing number of Europeans passed through. The majority were overlanders or drovers, taking stock across to the Adelaide markets. Then it was on to Golgol, only 10 minutes from Mildura, also on a wide stretch of the Murray River. Golgol was proclaimed a township in 1866. However, the village allotments did not begin to be occupied until the late 1870s. Historically, the town was an important coach stop, vital for communication and transport in the Wentworth Shire, with several coach lines running in the area. We turned off the Silver Valley Highway at River Road alongside levee banks to check out some of the camping options along the river, however, spent time watching a houseboat cruise past. We had aimed for the Australian Inland Botanic Gardens, but due to roadworks and a closed road, we didn't make it that far, so returned to the highway and continued on past Orange World and the big wine cast. It was a quick turn around as we spotted the Kumialla water tower art that I had to check out. Completed in September 2018, the murals beautifully capture Indigenous life along the Murray River, infusing the site with a strong sense of identity and local pride. The huge wedge-tail eagle soaring over the Murray was outstanding. Kumialla is a small rural locality situated in the Riverina region of New South Wales and is known for its agricultural roots, characterised by its vast farmlands, particularly for cotton, wheat and citrus production. Back on the road, and it was on to Dareton, where we stopped at the Lions Sunset Park and checked out the Kumialla irrigation equipment that commemorates the 90th anniversary of the establishment of irrigation and the Dareton town. Dareton is the centre of the Kumialla irrigation area, best known for its superior dried fruit, citrus and wine grapes. The irrigation area was once known as 9 Mile and owes its existence in part to the visionary The Million Farm scheme that flourished following World War I. But it wasn't until after World War II and the establishment of soldier settler farms that Dareton began to prosper. Pioneering families sowed the seeds of irrigated horticulture in the area in the mid to late 1920s, but it was the influx of soldier settlers following World War II under the auspices of the War Service Land Settlement Scheme that supplied the impetus for rapid growth and development. The soldier settlers came and conquered, transforming the bush landscape into a neat crosshatch pattern of flourishing vineyards and orchards, literally carving out a prosperous future by hard work and sweat. At Calwa, we continued on the Silver City Highway to Wentworth. We had stayed in Wentworth on our Darling River trip in 2023, but it was just as interesting the second time round. Our first port of call was at the historic Loch 10, built in 1929, and we were pleasantly surprised by the volume of water in both the Darling and the Murray rivers. Wentworth was once Australia's busiest inland river port, when at the turn of the 20th century, Wentworth Wharf was bustling with paddle steamers working the river. It was interesting to see a tribute to those first overlanders across Hawdon's Ford. In March 1838, Joseph Hawdon and Charles Bonney crossed the Murray on their droving trip from near Albury to Adelaide. 2 months later, Edward John Eyre used the same route, to be followed still later by Captain Charles Sturt, both with a herd of cattle. Hawson's Ford is a reminder to those early overlanders. On our last visit, we had tried to walk to the point where the two rivers met at Junction Island Nature Reserve, but due to flood damage we were unable to go, while this time the water level was too high. We did enjoy the huge number of pelicans that were fishing in the river and pondered the flood heights, with the 2022-23 flood that Rick was pointing to, and then to think that from where I was standing on the levee bank across the road, the flood waters would have been nearly to where I was standing. The 2022-2023 flood was a massive event, but was only the third highest on record, the highest occurring in 1956. Since record keeping began, the Murray River hasn't fully dried up completely, though various sections have stopped flowing during extreme events like the 1937-47 drought and the Millennium Drought from late 2001 to 2010. During these periods of low rainfall and high water use, the river's flow was severely reduced, leading to dry riverbeds in some locations and affecting water supply and ecosystems. A combination of changing rainfall patterns, more extreme weather, and increased temperatures leading to high evaporation rates exacerbated drought impacts. Wetlands and ecosystems are damaged when they don't receive water, and acid-resistant soils were exposed in the lower lakes, harming water quality. Over the last couple of weeks, we have travelled from the headwaters of the Murray along its length to Wentworth. A large portion of the water is primarily from snowmelt and rainfall in the Australian Alps in the southern basin, along with the major and minor tributaries from both Victoria and New South Wales, mostly along the Great Dividing Range, that contribute rainwater along with some groundwater. It now joins the Darling here in Wentworth. We have been seeing most of the river with low levels of water as we were travelling in late autumn, and there were no snow melt to increase the water level. But here at Wentworth we were seeing the result of floods in areas that feed into the Murray and the Darling. Such a huge amount of water with just the floodwaters coming down the rivers. The irrigation areas we had passed have already had huge amounts of water out of the system before it even gets here, relying on the snowmelt to feed the reservoirs and weirs along its length. Water management along the system is complex, with different states owning the water from various inflows and managing its flow through the interconnected river systems, and I wonder how long the Murray can continue supplying the water needed for all stakeholders. We returned to Mildura via Curlwa, an irrigation settlement a few kilometres upstream of Wentworth, and then over the Abbotsford Bridge, a classic and unique architectural single-lane bridge, as we returned via Mirrabeen, at the heart of the irrigation district, known as the town of wineries, vineyards, citrus growing and dried fruits, surrounded by thousands of hectares of irrigated farmland. In 1887, Canadian-born irrigation experts, the Chaffey brothers, started work on locking the Murray and flooding out the surrounding area to transform it into a rich and productive region, from what was then described as a Sahara of hissing winds and driving red sands. We will leave you in Mildura as we ready ourselves to cross into South Australia. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Give us a thumbs up if you have. Join us next time as we continue along the Murray to Renmark and then on to Lake Bonnie, a freshwater lake located in the Riverland region of South Australia, where we free camp for the night. Stay safe and enjoy life. Cheers for now. Rick and Rosemary. R&R, living life.